Gotcha.
I got a snare I can drop on it too.
Yep, that works. Well, he's not happy with Kilson.
Certainly isn't.
There we go.
Are you guys planning on mechanics for corpse runs or corpse summonings?
Yes.
Great.
My pet really wants to help the other group over there.
Yeah, it does.
A really nice wolf.
Trained him well,
Here's
man.
what I think I can answer. Cohh, how close to EQ would you say this is? I miss MMOs like EQ. Now, what I'm about to say is from me explicitly. Let me just say that. This is a personal opinion.
That's the prophet.
This game, after playing this game for a little bit and getting the feel of it down, this game feels very much like what in my mind EQ2 should have been. It's basically if you take EverQuest 1 with a little bit of Vanguard and some modern day mechanics, you make it look really good and then bring that old school kind of play style that's been lost in the ages, really, into a newer generation. So in my opinion, yes, if you're an old school EQ player, this should be the game that you're looking at right now to emulate that kind of experience. But it's important to mention, it's not EQ1. This is going to be new. It's going to be, and don't get me wrong, by the way, I loved EQ2. That was my biggest rating game. And that was not by any means a rag on EQ2. I just mean in terms of the play style and what you do and how you play the game. It's much more kind of like that.
Let's root that.
Yeah, someone broke it.
And for those asking if this is a sponsored stream, no. The devs asked me if I'd like to stream this. As someone who's incredibly interested in the product, I said absolutely. But no, this is not a sponsored stream in any way. This is me and the devs showing off the game.
We got ads. Let's pull away from that corner because they're going to start respawning here in a second. Actually going to pull it over here.
I didn't expect us to get in trouble so early on in the stream.
Definitely working for it. Get that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this guy down, or he's gonna keep running and pulling. Stun. Down
For
him
those
while
of you
he's
just tuning in, this is Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen, early development. Well, mid-development, I'd say. This is Wild's End Zone. This is the home of the Halflings.
Crispy says, can you explain pre-alpha to chat? Pre-alpha basically means that major mechanics are not in the game yet. It is it's under heavy development. Everything you see could be changed or altered in some way before release. It's pre-alpha. It's not even an alpha yet. This is pre-alpha. Yeah. So you'll see lots of changes, improvements, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and one of the you might think it's funny pre-alpha, all that. The reason why we kind of stress the semantics, I think, is because when the game is ready, when we have the content there, when there's enough detail and different mechanics to warrant bringing in our testers, there are quite a few people who have pledged for alpha, who pledged for alpha, who pledged for beta, and again, we're not quite at that point yet. We're getting there every day, but that's kind of why you hear that. So I like what Ben just said, that kind of mid-development.
Great.
Another reason why we don't say pre-alpha is because our first testing session will be called pre-alpha, so we kind of confuse people by saying pre-alpha just to be annoying.
And we love being annoying.
Just to confuse people.
Speaking of which, are one of you able to res by chance?
Not yet, sorry.
Res isn't in
Release, and I'll pull you back.
Seems like
we'll get you back here.
a glaring omission, but it's the truth.
Yeah, Res is coming.
All right, let's push into this room.
All right.
And looks like
I'm a little bit low on mana.
Let me get mana, please.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get us to where we can get you mana without getting jumped. So let's move in and move to this left corner.
So I see that it looks like daytime cycle is already in, yeah?
Yes, it is. It's a full day-night cycle. We don't have dynamic weather in yet, but it's coming.
So I'm seeing a lot of people ask two questions, and these are both kind of very high-level questions. Feel free to be as detailed or not detailed as you like. The two questions are, what are your plans for PvP? And then kind of going in that same kind of end game feel, what is your plan for end game, especially high-level grouping and rating?
So, yeah, that's a great question. First of all, Pantheon is primarily a player versus environment game. It's a cooperative game where you're going up against the mobs, the inhabitants of the world, and actually the environment itself, which we'll kind of show you a little bit later on. That said, we know there's quite a few people out there who really enjoy that extra danger and feel of player versus player, and so
Myself included.
yeah, including people on
I'm
the
a huge fan.
Or yeah, so
Big
we're
fan.
gonna launch with at least one PvP shard, and so that's definitely an important part. Even though our focus, like I said, right now is on the environment, we'll have that shard. As the game grows, there could be variations, different types of rule sets associated with player versus player, and more attention paid to some of the unique game mechanics that can be associated with player versus player. What was the other question, Cohh?
And this question is obviously, honestly the one I'm probably most interested in. What is the plan for late game rating in terms of like end game group content and challenges?
So first of all, it's really important to stress that Pantheon is not about an MMO where it's like you get in the game and everyone thinks or believes, or it's true that all the fun is at the end game, and so then you're kind of compelled to power level as quickly as you can to max level or near max level because that's where you think all the fun's at. First of all, power leveling like that will be extremely difficult, and for a reason, and that's because it's our job and we're determined to make a game that's fun, low level, mid level, and high level. The majority of the content is going to be oriented around grouping, which is we're currently looking at a group size of 6. There will certainly be solo content. You log in, don't have a lot of time, your friends are elsewhere, you want something to do, there will always be activities for you to do, even though the focus is on grouping. And then you'll start seeing some raid content as well. And I wouldn't even limit the raid content to the end game or the high level game either. One of our challenges and what we think would be pretty cool would be to have some raid content even at the mid level. So, it's our job and our aim and our goal to make a game that's fun and an adventure and where you're experiencing new things, getting new skills, finding really cool items throughout your experience. And then even after you've reached max level, when you create an alt and try out let's say a different race or a different class and focus on a different part of the world. So this is a comprehensive, fully featured epic MMO that we're planning here.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, we'll just add that to achieve that, there needs to be a lot of horizontal content, content that isn't directly related to advancement in the adventuring sphere alone. It's not just that vertical advancement, but we want to really flesh out more horizontal opportunities for classes. The perception system is a perfect example. Obviously, crafting, harvesting, but dynamic events, dynamic movements, and events that happen in the world that make it a part of your when you log into the game, you're not always thinking about getting that next level, but you're thinking about where you are in the world and what's going on around you in the world and what you might uncover today just by traveling to different areas in a zone or in the game world, and what you can glean from that, specific class rewards, special items, being able to expand and grow your character through those means without always the constant treadmill of leveling. The other thing I would add is we're going to see in this Twitch stream an example of a lower level, full group kind of boss experience, which we want to place all throughout the leveling range as players level up. But then we're going to be launching, one of the zones we're going to look at today is a raid zone. We don't want to wait until after launch to start thinking about raiding. We want to launch with a zone that is tailored towards large, several multi-group content and encounters. And so we don't want to be surprised by that. And we'll show you guys that and talk about that a little bit more when we get there.
Guys, can I make a quick request? Can we change the hour? It's getting a little bit dark on the stream.
It is getting a little dark. Thank you.
There we go.
So something you guys you briefly touched on in that, and I know I'm really interested in this as a big crafter myself. What are the plans for crafting in this game? And also, do you have any plans for secondary skills like the fishing, for instance?
Corey, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is yes. We definitely plan on having as many of those secondary skills as possible. It just gives you a lot of stuff to do, and having them tie back into more meaningful systems like crafting and combat is going to be key. Fishing is one thing that's actually near and dear to my heart. It's a thing that me and my dad had together growing up. So I wouldn't consider the game complete, I think, until I can sneak that in at some point. But crafting, as far as crafting goes, you're going to be able to craft a large variety of the items that just actually even drop in the game. The idea with crafting is that you'll be able to go to it as a place of like choice. Like instead of farming out, you might kind of find a very specific piece of gear, especially if it's on all options in the game. Might need a very specific situation. So sometimes craft might be the shortest route. Awesome. Getting materials.
Sorry, Corey, we're actually not getting your audio very well right now.
Yeah.
If you turn your in-game audio down, it might help your mic audio stay. Yep.
For anyone that didn't hear, Corey basically promised us fishing raids.
There you go.
Is that what that is? Let me add that to the design doc really quick.
Ship it.
Ship it.
Yeah, guys, we're having problems hearing him on this side too. I think he's adjusting his mic right now. But what he basically said is yes, they have extensive plans for crafting, and they're also looking at secondary skills and things of that nature as well.
And a big emphasis is going to be on cooperation between adventurers who like to go out and get the loot and crafters, and kind of a symbiotic relationship there. Not a competition, but a system where crafters need adventurers and adventurers need crafters, that sort of thing.
Let's hold up for a minute anyway. I need to get some mana. You guys hearing me okay now?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
For it.
Much better.
Yeah, okay.
WB.
Thank you. So yeah, basically, crafting is going to be really important because with as many horizontal content paths as we're going to have, you're going to want to see crafters for, oops, got one ad on me there, for some of those very specific situations. Like rather than trying to farm up a specific piece of gear, it might be more beneficial to just go find a crafter that has that recipe.
Yeah, nice.
My plan is, initially at least, is to let people craft items that drop in the game as well. And the place where crafting sort of goes hand in hand with dropped items will be, we might have the option to customize pieces of gear. So most of the items in our game are going to be tradable initially, excepting for a few like class-specific rewards, like epic quest items, that sort of stuff. If you go to a crafter and you get a piece of gear customized, they tailor it basically directly to your needs. So it's meant for your hand or your body, and that doing that makes the item bound to you. and it lets the crafter squeeze out some additional power from an already existing like dropped item. So you might be able to get 5 to 10% more stats or a slightly better improvement on the piece of gear for you. But it comes with the choice of then you're not trading that piece of gear later because it's been tailor fit to you. So you could either sell it later if you decide you've outgrown the piece, or you could break it down yourself for raw components to, maybe craft something else for yourself, or have another crafter use those materials to make something sweet for you in the future.
And that kind of ties in, Corey, to the player-driven economy that's so important to us.
Exactly, getting that player-to-player, just trading experience and economy, getting everyone involved in that, and keeping items in and out of the system pretty regularly as well, so you don't end up with at some point having like 50 short swords of the Akeisha. None of them are worth anything because everyone has one.
Yep, keeping things scarce, making
I'm pulling.
putting in what we call item sinks and reasons to trade in your items. But yeah, like you said, I think it's a big point, and that is most items are going to be tradable. There's not going to be a lot of no drop or bind on a quit. Obviously, quest items, specific crafting items are the exception, but this is an open. Not only is this an open world with no instancing, but it's an open economy where we want to see players buy, sell, and trade, and find an exotic item in one end of the world, take it to another end of the world, put some time into moving that item, and then selling it at a profit. So, and that's in-game currency, of course. I'm talking about no real world money, but the platinum, the in-game currency is going to have value. It's going to mean something, as will the items.
There's an awesome cleric drop or an enchanter drop there.
Oh, got a good drop.
If I get a hold of it.
We'll keep taking questions as we go, guys.
shaman.
But we're going to try and speed things up a little bit here as we attack the boss. We've got a lot more to show in this stream, so we're going to keep moving ahead here.
Oh,
Corey, you want that drop?
Nah, go for it, man.
You're too kind.
I made that just for you.
So, real quick, as we're moving forward here, it sounds like crafting is going to be a very big part of this game. How exactly is the crafting system going to tie into your character? Do you get experience per craft? Is that experience towards your crafting experience? Or is it more like a skill-based system? Can you level via crafting?
Yeah, so it's still a little early to talk too definitively about some of those things, but I would see it as a separate thing that complements into combat. So if you wanted to craft, like my ideal world, just putting my flag down would be that you could do it separately. If you wanted to just craft, you might be able to do that independently. But yeah, we've got a long road to go ahead. So again, that could change, but that's the initial loose plan.
All right, so the next area that we're going to show is Throne Fast. We will actually have to turn GM back on for this, just because we don't have any linking up right now between where we're at and where we're going.
Yeah, this is the one area. The rest of the Twitch will be walking from zone to zone. This is the one instance where we've got to actually cheat and teleport over to the zone. So forgive us, but
The connecting zone is in development right now, just
right.
not quite ready yet.
And actually, while we're doing this, why don't you guys let us know how is traveling done in this game? Is there going to be porting? Are you going to have to walk everywhere? Can players easily port around? What's the plan for traveling?
Well, initially players will do their traveling by running. We want travel to be meaningful, and so we want it to be a necessary but eventful and dangerous part of the game. There will be ports. Certain classes will have certain ports to certain places that they will gain over time, and we want to improve and evolve that system a little bit as well, where there may be certain teleportation spells that classes get just as that class, but then it may be possible for, say, for example, a druid or a wizard to actually, in their travels, find areas in the world they can attune to and create port spells for themselves within a certain limited number to certain locations. So any given wizard may have standard teleportation abilities, but you may find one that has the unique ability to teleport to a certain area that another wizard may not have, and same for a druid, or however we spread those out through the classes. So in addition to that, we'll have most likely have mounts available at the higher levels. Thinking, things like a horse, something like that at a higher level may be possible. Eventually we'll want to have, seafaring vessels, and things like caravans where groups and guilds can travel together. So a lot of details on those things will be forthcoming, but you can expect travel to be an important part of the game. And for example, the zone we're in right now, we just came to, this is Thronefast. This is the starting city and starting area for the humans. And you can see the city of Thronefast behind us. If we have time at the end of the stream and people are still interested, we can come back and take a closer look at some of these places. But just by look around, just spinning in a 360, you can see, the scope and scale of some of these areas. And there's going to be a lot to explore for sure. But we're going to go ahead and run down this path here towards Avendir's Pass, where we'll make our way to our first dungeon.
Now, Chris, we've shown Avendir's Pass before, but this isn't the same Avendir's Pass, is it?
Well, we're always improving and doing iterations on our zones, and so yes, we've seen Avendir's Pass before in an earlier stream. We'll be running through some familiar areas of that zone, but they've all improved dramatically, and then we'll also be running to some new areas we haven't seen yet as well. So that's the nature of development. We're going to be creating areas and then going back and improving on them and doing detail passes and refinements as we move along.
That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say.
Yeah, there it is. I see our shaman is using a movement speed buff, but he hasn't shared the love with everyone else. So
He's not sharing. He's not
rude.
sharing.
Will tip for Sal.
Yeah. there you go.
Shamans who don't
Clarity
stop
if we
for
got it.
buffs. Never run into those before.
5 gold, guys. 5 gold apiece.
Oh, come on, that's a bit
I've
steep.
got some crab meat.
These spells. Oh, do you?
So,
Now we're
guys,
talking.
I have to admit, I have every so often when there's a lull, I just find myself kind of looking at my character's model because it's pretty freaking unique. And I'm seeing a lot of people in chat ask this too. Could you guys give a little bit of background to the new guys? Why my character looks the way he does, or she does?
Yeah, that is a she. That's a female gnome. The gnome is probably one of our most significant to expect in a traditional fantasy setting. Our gnomes love, with an obsessive love, everything arcane and the pursuit of arcane knowledge. And the backstory for the gnomes is essentially they delved too deeply into that kind of arcane knowledge by finding